Finding peace in the face of societal injustice, cultivating inner resilience through mindfulness, friends, fellow travelers on this path of life. We gather here, perhaps drawn by a shared yearning, a whisper in the heart that seeks solace and understanding in a world increasingly marked by discord. We witness daily a rising tide of societal injustice, inequities woven into the very fabric of our systems, manifesting as disparities in wealth, opportunity, and even basic human dignity. We see the pain, the anger, the disillusionment that festers within individuals and communities, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed, helpless, and even to succumb to despair. But I ask you today, is despair the only response? Is it the inevitable conclusion to witnessing suffering on such a grand scale? Or is there another way, a path not of passive acceptance, but of active engagement rooted in inner peace? Can we cultivate a resilience that allows us to face injustice with clarity, compassion, and unwavering resolve? I believe we can, and the key, as I see it, lies in the practice of mindfulness. Before we delve deeper, let's be clear. Mindfulness is not about turning a blind eye to the world's problems. It is not an escape, a detachment from the struggles of others. Quite the contrary. True mindfulness is an invitation to see the world with greater clarity, to understand the intricate web of causes and conditions that give rise to injustice, and to respond with wisdom and effectiveness. So, what does it mean to cultivate inner resilience through mindfulness in the face of societal injustice? Let's explore this together, not as detached observers, but as active participants in this journey of understanding. First, we must acknowledge the reality of our own inner landscape. These emotions are natural, human responses to witnessing suffering. But, unchecked, they can become overwhelming, clouding our judgment and fueling reactive, often unhelpful behaviors. Mindfulness invites us to observe these emotions without judgment, to simply acknowledge their presence without getting swept away by them. Imagine yourself as a witness, seated on the bank of a river. The emotions are the river itself, flowing powerfully. You can choose to jump in and be carried away by the current, or you can remain on the bank, observing the flow without losing yourself in it. This act of observation creates a space between the emotion and our reaction. It allows us to pause, to breathe, and to choose our response with greater intention. It's in this space that resilience is born. Second, mindfulness allows us to develop a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. Injustice doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's a product of systems, policies, beliefs, and behaviors that are often deeply ingrained in our society. To address injustice effectively, we need to understand these underlying causes and conditions. Mindful inquiry encourages us to ask questions, to explore our own biases and assumptions, and to challenge the narratives that perpetuate inequality. It's about recognizing that we are all part of the problem, and therefore, we all have a responsibility to be part of the solution. Consider the issue of racial inequality. To truly understand it, we must be willing to confront the history of slavery, segregation, and systemic discrimination that has shaped our present. We must be willing to acknowledge the ways in which our own unconscious biases may contribute to the problem. This is not easy work. It requires courage, humility, and a willingness to be uncomfortable. But it is only through this honest self-reflection that we can begin to dismantle the structures of inequality and create a more just and equitable society. Mindfulness enables us to approach these difficult conversations with openness and empathy rather than defensiveness and judgment. Third, mindfulness cultivates compassion, both for ourselves and for others. Witnessing injustice can be emotionally draining. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the suffering of others and to lose sight of our own well-being. But if we are to sustain our efforts to create positive change, we must learn to care for ourselves with the same kindness and compassion that we extend to others. Self-compassion is not selfishness. It's about recognizing our own limitations, acknowledging our own pain, and treating ourselves with the same gentleness and understanding that we would offer to a friend. When we are grounded in self-compassion, we are better equipped to navigate the challenges of activism and to avoid burnout. Compassion for others, on the other hand, is the engine that drives our efforts to address injustice. It's the recognition that all beings, regardless of their background, deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. It's the understanding that their suffering is our suffering and that their liberation is our liberation. Mindful compassion encourages us to see the humanity in those who are different from us, even those who may hold views that we find abhorrent. It's about recognizing that we are all interconnected and that our actions have consequences for others. Fourth, mindfulness fosters resilience by helping us to develop a sense of equanimity. In the face of societal injustice, it's easy to get caught up in the ups and downs of the struggle. We may experience moments of hope and inspiration, followed by periods of disillusionment and despair. Equanimity is the ability to remain balanced and centered, even amidst the chaos and uncertainty of life. It's not about suppressing our emotions, but about cultivating a perspective that allows us to see the bigger picture, to recognize that change takes time, and to remain committed to our values, even when the path ahead seems unclear. Mindful equanimity helps us to avoid getting discouraged by setbacks and to celebrate small victories along the way. It allows us to maintain a sense of hope and optimism, even when the challenges seem insurmountable. Finally, mindfulness empowers us to act with wisdom and effectiveness. When we are grounded in mindfulness, we are less likely to react impulsively or to get caught up in unproductive conflict. We are better able to assess situations with clarity, to identify the most effective course of action, and to communicate our message with compassion and conviction. Mindful action is about aligning our intentions with our actions, about living in accordance with our values, and about contributing to the creation of a more just and equitable world. It's about recognizing that even small acts of kindness and compassion can make a difference. So, how do we cultivate this inner resilience through mindfulness? It begins with a commitment to practice. Mindfulness is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process of self-discovery and transformation. There are many ways to cultivate mindfulness, including meditation. Regular meditation practice can help us to develop greater awareness of our thoughts, emotions, and sensations. Mindful movement practices like yoga and Tai Chi can help us to connect with our bodies and to cultivate a sense of presence in the moment. Mindful communication, paying attention to our words and our tone of voice can help us to communicate with greater clarity and compassion. Mindful consumption, being aware of the impact of our choices on others and on the planet can help us to live more sustainably and ethically. But perhaps the most important thing is to cultivate a spirit of curiosity and open-mindedness. Approach mindfulness with a sense of exploration and be willing to experiment with different techniques to find what works best for you. Remember, this is not about achieving perfection. It's about cultivating a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us, and about acting with greater wisdom, compassion, and resilience. It's about recognizing that we are all interconnected and that our actions have consequences for others. So let us together embrace this path of mindfulness and let us together create a more just and equitable world for all. Let us not be overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task, but rather, let us be inspired by the possibility of transformation. Let us not succumb to despair, but rather let us cultivate a resilience that allows us to face injustice with clarity, compassion, and unwavering resolve. For in the depths of our own inner peace, we find the strength to be the change we wish to see in the world. Thank you.